dash because Cappy is really busy, literally picking rocks out of his yard, picking rocks and burning down brush. So the Red Pill Scholar, that is his name, that's his pen name, wanted me to read, and if good enough to review it publicly, and it was good enough that I decided to review it publicly. It's not a complete disaster. And the title of his book is Red Pill 101: The Hard Truths Your Father Should Have Taught You. It's by the Red Pill Scholar. And already, those of you who are versed in the Red Pill, veterans of the Red Pill, founders of the Red Pill, you're having the immediate, I wouldn't say vomitus. It's not at that level, but your gut churning like, oh God, dude, bro, Red Pill. And now the Red Pill Scholar. And I'll tell you this right now, man, this is the biggest drawback of your book. Where there are a bunch of nobodies who just discovered it. It's like born again Christians or people who just discovered Christ and gone to seminary. Now they're to spread the word of Jesus and all that. And you just discovered it. And now you've self-declared yourself an expert through a scholar. And who the fuck are you? I mean, it's open to anyone, but you have no cachet or background. You don't have a blog. You don't have any canon of work. And I'll tell anyone aspiring to this, if you, the only reason I'm here, is because coming up on 20 years ago, I was bored, I was pissed off, and I wanted to write a blog about economics of all things. There was no Red Pill. And it is going through that trials and tribulations, real life, real job. You can look at Rollo's background. We kind of accidentally fell on it and explored it. It really is like Daniel Boone going out into the Wild West and exploring, and then only after putting together the maps and the railroad comes out, now you come out like, I'm a tourist guide. However, that is what it looks like. And then when you read it, yes, it is basic bitch 101 shit. It is. No one who is a seasoned consumer of Red Pill material needs this. No one who is, a content creator, an established content creator, needs to read this. And honestly, dude, I would change your name from the Red Pill Scholar and just come up with something like that. We'll get to the book, why the book is good, but the packaging is all wrong. Because no one's going to read through it. They're like, here's another fucking dipshit who's a self-declared Red Pill expert. Who, surprise, hide behind an avatar, going over 101 shit. All right. So that's the worst part of this book is the cover, the pen name, and then the outline, not the content. It's like, okay, I could get this for free. I've tuned this is of no value to me, but I started listening to it because he paid me. And here's where the book is good. This is where I really like it, and it redeems itself. And I'm like, okay, now I see a purpose. First, it is brilliant. I was going to say very well. I'm going to upgrade it to brilliant. Brilliantly written. It is very clear. It is very concise. It's very descriptive, and there's no confusion. Right? The audio guy he had read it, brilliant. The audio version is great. Got some British guy with a British accent. But his diction, cadence, tone, he did a brilliant job reading it because it was also very well written. And because it was so well written, I'm listening to this and I'm like, okay, that's good. He put it a good way. There were some unique takes. I will say this, there's no new material in this, no new material whatsoever. But then I started tuning in. I'm like, you know what this would be perfect for? What it would be ideal for is onboarding. This is the Little Red Cookbook you give to a 16-year-old boy or maybe even a 14-year-old boy. That is what this book is good for. And I kind of align it with or liken it to Rich Cooper's book, The Unplugged Alpha, because Rich, they didn't complicate it. It was very simple. They kept it a chocolate sundae. ice cream, chocolate syrup, some sprinkles, some whipped cream, and a cherry. That's what Rich Cooper, if you read his book, The Unplugged Out, that's why I liked it so much. I even did a which red pill book should you read and in what order. That's why Rich's was first, because it was digestible. It was consumable, and it's not that long. This Red Pill 101 is 178 pages, also not that long, but also easy to understand and digestible. And when I was listening to it, I'm like, this would be great for a teenage boy or a very young man. Then I got to thinking, like, does something like this exist? Does a watered down introduction, because okay, and no offense to Rollo, you guys all know I love him like a brother, even though he never returns my fucking calls. The medium is the message. Yes, got it. Knee-jerk reaction. Totally didn't see that joke. Yes. Anyway, you can't plop the rational male, let alone any one of other Rollo's books, into the lap of a 15-year-old boy. You could have dropped it into my lap. I'm like, God damn it, Rollo. I had to go back and reread. Because it's very dense, and but it's very right. But if you had a primer, if you had like some basic stuff down, this book would be ideal and would therefore make consuming more deep, thorough, philosophical tomes like Rollo Tomasi, or Ryan Stone, especially. Oh my God, that guy, like stratosphere level philosophy. This is like basic training. And is there a basic 101 book out there? Is there? I don't know it. If there is, let me know. If it's better, let the market compete. But this is the one I read, and now you kind of understand, like, yeah, the title of the book should be Red Pill 101. And so that kind of gives the cover and the title a little bit of a redeeming grace. But dude, I would immediately change your name from the Red Pill Scholar. Fuck off with that shit. That's like me walking into a tabernacle, or not tabernacle, synagogue, and saying the expert Jew when I've never picked up a Torah. You just got here. His story is interesting. Yeah, I mean, brilliant man, by the way. You could tell IT background, or not IT, STEM background. Girlfriend dumped you, and now you just discovered it. You're a scholar. No, dude, we're not doing that. We're not doing this fucking, oh, I have a doctorate in women's studies. We're not doing that. The arrogance of that is probably the worst thing about this book. That's the biggest drawback. So come up with a different name, Vinny Vin, Bobby Bob, something else, because you're going to immediately lose credibility because you're new. And people are like, here's this guy claiming to be a scholar. First, we don't want to become an academic study. And here's this guy giving himself a fucking title. And now you're no different than all these fucking bots coming out of Pakistan or India or wherever it is, where there's some avatar of a lion or a picture, a drawn picture, not an actual man, but a drawn picture of a chiseled jawed man. How to get the girls, alpha masculinity, gorilla mindset. Oh, wait, that was a different guy. And take my Gumroad course. I paid for my Twitter followers. And that's what you look like now. Which, unfortunately, people are going to pass up on it, at least any of the people in the industry, when it could actually serve some real good for younger men. So the book is pretty darn good for the first 2/3. The last third, it kind of peters out, where it's like random lessons learned. Like the subtitle is Hard Truths Your Father Should Have Taught You. And it's good up until the last two chapters. Well, I was thinking, like, okay, maybe he doesn't have a finance background, but this is where Bachelor had economics. Maybe I'm biased because I'm an economist. I'm like, well, okay, you did a real good job introducing concepts, vocabulary, terms. The best job, I'll tell him right there, best job I've ever seen done about the dynamics of how women are just not that interested in men, hypergamy and all that other stuff. So that when you would get to roll, it'd be like, oh, this very clear now. But then the practical bit kind of peters off and isn't as structured and complete or thorough as I would have liked it to be. And maybe you don't, maybe the subtitle adds an added burden. Truths your father should have told you. Well, now I'm thinking like, well, how to fix a car, how to do this. And now it goes beyond the scope of just understanding the dynamics between men and women. But if you got that into a 15-year-old boy's hand, I don't think they're going to be that judgmental about it if they get through it. So I wouldn't even necessarily rewrite it, but definitely get that The Red Pill Scholar off that cover. You could always upload a cover. I think you could change your author name, maybe not. But I would not just go with a regular a catchy name. Bobby Bam. Some people remember it. People remember Cappy Cap because of the alliteration. That wasn't done on intention. That was somebody else came up with that for Cappy Capitalism. Sterling Cooper. That's his stage. Sterling. It'll ring. Now you say The Red Pill Scholar. People are going to roll their eyes, say, fuck this guy. While there is some really good content there. So I'd give it like just shy of 4 stars, like 3.8 stars. If you took the first 2/3 of the book, that would be 4.2 stars. The main reason for the discount is because of the name and kind of the packaging. But if you got a younger kid, a younger boy, it almost those first 2/3 might be a bit much because he's talking about marriage and this and that, and a 15-year-old boy isn't really, but it would still be good to get that into a young man's hands. So if you know a younger person that needs kind of an intro to this, I would get this book. I would absolutely put that in the hands of a younger man. And look, it's worn out. All these bitches fucking here, little 5-year-old Susie. Boys are icky and gross. And you're part, the patriot. I mean, they start when these little girls are young. And then they can't wait to shove the feminine mystique or men are all assholes or whatever the latest book is in a young lady's hands. I mean, you could put this into a young man's hand. Like, look here, this is pretty harsh. All right. But you're going to have to know this going forward. And you're also going to have to say, look, and you can't hate women for this. Okay. Do not hate women. You have to understand this is nature. All right. That could be a little bit more emphasis put around everywhere. It's like, look, this is just nature, guys. Don't go on hating the womans. Am I right? But that's the review. So I linked to it below. There we go. All right. See you guys later. Toodles.